computer out. Hey, Lindsay, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for
I
having me.
have called on Lindsay because I am a holistic medicine practitioner and I specialize in women's gut health. And I'm finding that there is a disconnect with my patients or my clients and the way they choose to eat versus the way I am prescribing them to eat. Now, I want to be very clear with anybody who might be listening to this that when I prescribe something in terms of nutrition, I do not ever like to vilify food. But I do want to make it very clear that there is a difference between food that nourishes your body and food that can be detrimental to your body when your overall health is not doing so well. So I am sort of calling on you for a little bit of help because I know that you specialize in EFT and tapping. And I was wondering if there was a place where I could bring my clients to you, ultimately to help pull together my prescription for them and their food and the disconnect between their choice and their actual food. So could tapping help them ultimately?
So I'm glad that you're asking me because one of the things that I am really intentional about is making sure that I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do in my work or that I haven't done. And food and discipline and you're helping me with some of my health stuff is really close to my heart. And I've had a lot of challenges. I've been gluten intolerant in my life and I've been restricted, by nutritionists and, really made to believe certain foods were bad. And it does do something in us emotionally. So I personally have worked through a lot of this and can really empathize. And my question for you is, yes, my answer is yes, tapping can help. But my question for you is if I was your client and I said, I want to heal this issue as fast as possible. And if you give me a list of all of my foods that I have permission to eat, because I am fully aware that the gluten we're eating, it's not bad because it's gluten, it's bad because it's not real food anymore, right? Our body doesn't know what to do with it is one component. So if you gave me a list and said, here's all of the beautiful foods that you can eat, okay? And if I 100% stuck to that list, how quickly do you think I could heal my stomach?
So, I mean, everybody is very different in terms of what's going on, but from my own personal experience in the thick of gut health issues, within 5 weeks, I have felt better, fully healed, not fully healed, but felt so much better that light got brighter and brighter and I was more motivated to keep going, right?
So let's just pretend that's the case for me.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's just say I decide I'm going to break the rules once a week. Then how far out am I pushing my
Uh,
chances?
you're going to feel that. You're absolutely going to feel that. It will definitely be longer. On a 90-day protocol, if you were 100% diligent and compliant, you would see massive benefits and you could probably start the once a week thing with no issue. The once a week, indulgence without an issue. If you start doing it right from the beginning, you're probably looking at 5 or 6 months out of continuously working on it. And as I had mentioned before, I had a professor in school that told me you have 6 tacks. They're all your gluten intolerance or their dairy intolerance. You put them on a chair. You reduce them for 6 days of the week to 2. But then on Saturday, you sit on 2 tacks. It's still going to hurt like hell. It's still going to affect you. So you're going to push it out half a year.
So as a woman in this world who's been restricted with her eating, right, by people who even said like this is bad, and I know that you don't work like that, which is why you and I work well together, because you don't vilify food. So with tapping, the biggest detriment, the worst thing about tapping is that it sounds silly and it actually looks a little silly. And I would say that is going to be 80% of the reason why, or the reason 80% of people never even try it, is because it really, any professional, like real practitioner or teacher of tapping is going to admit it looks kind of silly and it sounds silly. So that's our biggest hurdle. What's cool though is in a world where it feels like a lot of things don't work, if you actually apply it. So if I were to actually apply your protocol, I would actually feel a lot better. And with tapping, it's the same thing. If you actually apply it, it has a almost a guaranteed effect, right? And one of the rules with it is it's effective, it's rapid, so it works quickly, and it also works gently. And in fact, I always use kind of I hate using the word diet, but like a food plan or a food goal as a good example. So if with wanting to reach like a muscle gain goal or a weight loss goal or even a parasite cleanse goal or gut healing thing, you really need to actually like be pretty disciplined and strategic in your morning, right? Midday, with lunch, with afternoon, with dinner, and you're going to do it again tomorrow. And we're doing that for 5 weeks here, right? To get the benefit because of the way the body works. With tapping, I always say, if you have a goal, it can actually maximize the effects. So I would even be willing to go as far as saying somebody on who follows your program perfectly might actually get healing in those 5 weeks, not even just the beginning, because it's so rapid, but it's also gentle. And I always say, you know, with a food thing, you're having to be really strategic. With tapping, you're spending the time to really do some work here. It's really just, it's fun. Like you're just investigate. A lot of people think it's therapy and it's emotional and it's talking about your whole life and all your trauma. That is what it is for a lot of people who choose to use it as therapy. That is not what it has to be at all. So when we're really sitting with that and getting to the bottom of what is this right here, just being curious, just with the way we're tapping while we're even thinking and talking, it's your subconscious is what's being accessed and moving and doing the work. And then you get up, you walk away into your life, and the effects have fallen upon you. You don't now have to do that again tomorrow morning, and then 11, and then 1, and then 3, and then 5, like a food plan. You already did it in this container of time. Your subconscious was listening. Real new neural pathways are being connected while you sleep, hydrate, nourish your body. And then you just have those effects of it fall upon you. So when people ask, who's it for? What's it good for? Literally anybody who experiences twinges of stress at all ever in their life, and who doesn't. And when we're talking about food stuff, you know, you see this or you see that, and when you see something, there is an emotional response, and our body goes, oh, right? Even certain people are going to look at your list of foods where you and I look at it and we're like, there's so many vegetables and so many fruits and the salty, juicy steak. And they're instantly like, all they can think about is what they can't have. And that is a stress response. When we have a stress response, you know, what we have is we have a cortisol spike. It's an oversecretion of cortisol. That sends a signal to our brain we're not even safe in that moment.
Right,
the
right.
same as running from a lion, right? And now you're choosing between the veggies and the steak or the pasta and the bread, and your brain instantly goes into survival. The blood leaves, goes into your legs. You don't even have a brain to think in that moment. So anyone who has any amount of stress at all, even if it's just trying to make a decision, that's what tapping's for.
Cool. I can see that benefiting almost every single one of my ladies that I work with. You're right. When it comes to food, I would say that I would definitely fall into that category to some extent. All women do. I think the pressure on us in terms of what we look like and what we eat and dieting, etc., is it's huge. It's huge in our world today. And you're absolutely right. There is some emotional response that happens when they see the thing they can't have. And it's like they just can't help themselves. That's what they're going for. They see nothing else.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because let's say I was on your 5-week plan. I know it's not a 5-week plan, but I'm making it a 5-week plan because if I am really serious about nipping this, and I eat perfect, like Michelle approved, but my husband walks in every single night with a gallon of ice cream for the kids, right? And a bag of tortilla chips. And I see it and I get that like, like I can't eat that. I wish I was eating that. That's enough of a stress response and a cortisol spike to turn my 5 weeks into 7.
Absolutely.
I did not touch the ice cream. I did not touch any tortilla chips or any bread rolls that came in. I looked at it and I got a ping and I got an oversecretion of cortisol. And my body did not know the difference between me seeing it and me eating it.
Yeah. Wow. Our bodies are incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately it's a message. That is a message to you saying, hey, you're not safe right now. But you are. And you have to get down to that.
Yeah. And so that's a perfect point because that's where tapping trips the wire. So tapping trips the wire for us in that we can know, right? I can know if I just do exactly what Michelle said, I'm going to feel a lot better. But now I'm sitting in front of the tortilla chips and the bread and the pizza and the ice cream. Okay. Or I could eat whatever this is. I actually don't feel like eating what Michelle told me to eat. There's no feeling in my body that feels like doing that yet. I know to grab this. I feel like grabbing this. And because our feelings are facts, we treat them like facts. We usually are leaning into the what we feel. And so we're more likely to do what we feel. And even for somebody, like I said, who feels like doing this, but does this instead, there's still some attachment there and a cortisol spike there.
Yeah.
So where tapping comes in is when we're in that container. I do a lot of teaching on like how to tap on your own and take it into your own hands, but I actually really recommend people sit with a practitioner and really do the deep digging work, because then all their at home work is going to be so much easier. So if I were to really sit and hold this thought, and this is going to speak to women who don't want to do therapy, don't want to talk about their emotions, go down their whole life story, this is going to speak to them, because tapping in its true nature is so clinical and emotionless. So for anybody who's listening that's like, well, I don't want to do this is your tool. It's actually the best tool for PTSD for like veterans, real complex PTSD for men, because you don't have to really talk about all of it. So that moment where I know to eat this, but I like feel like eating that, if I could really sit with that and really feel that and allow the actual tapping on these points to take effect properly, what happens when you do the work, right, is things start moving and shifting, and you are anchoring into, I am safe right now to want that and to know that I want that. I'm safe right now with this conflict, is what we're actually doing, is anchoring into something different than we've ever anchored into in our life, which is I'm safe to sit with this conflict. The conflict doesn't feel safe. The choice doesn't feel safe. But in this exact moment, I'm safe right here. I'm really just experiencing a human emotion, right? Nothing's wrong with me. So we're unlocking in that moment something, okay, that is going to really ultimately tell us the truth of why we're reaching for that instead of this. And as we work through that and move through it, whether you decide to be somebody who cries a lot in the process and really wants to go down that trauma rabbit hole, or somebody who just like doesn't want to, but is willing to address the food glitch, we're going to unlock something. We're going to really go in and tell your subconscious, I'm safe in this moment to really think this through and process it wholly and fully with all the blood in my brain. Whereas normally our blood's gone, we're grabbing the pizza. So as we do that work, just discovering what's under it, like I told you, a lot of women who reach for chocolate chip cookies, like warm comfort, like cinnamon rolls and bread. They just miss grandma when they were little. Grandma made
Sure.
good cookies.
Yep.
It's always like, oh, now when we get up from our session, go on into their next day, all of a sudden, right, when they're placed with this decision again, where they have, maybe they even already made their juicy steak and their vegetables, but husband just walked in with lasagna, right? Their body is going to respond as if they're in that moment that we were in where they got to really think and feel safe. They don't have to tap again necessarily when we do the work. We really do the work. What happens is it's almost like time expands in that moment, and the blood doesn't leave their brain this time and go into their body. The blood actually stays in their body because they already sent a signal saying, I'm actually safe when there's this option and this option now. We can do amazing things as women with blood in our brains. And for me, because I really used a lot of tapping through my journey, I was a binger, not a purger, but I was a binger, was in that moment, I learned I can have the steak and I can have the pizza. Nobody's stopping me. I can. And it felt really good and true in my body now to want to take the step in the direction of what was really going to benefit my long-term health. So what happens with the tapping is we just took our knowing. I know to reach for that, but I feel like I want that. And we aligned them. I know I want that, and I know I want that, but it feels really safe in my body to make a choice that's for my greater good in this moment. And I mean, think of that, like that fluidity of like, I'm safe. This feels good. This actually feels better. Now you didn't just get a cortisol spike.
Yeah.
So, and that, it's a powerful thing when you do it right.
Yeah,
Because
I am
it's
just
all,
so,
it's all easier. What's it, uphill or downhill from there? Like
I feel like it's supposed to be uphill, although that feels like it's harder. You
it
have me
might be
in
uphill,
such,
but it might feel like downhill from there.
yeah, you have me in such a trance. You described that perfectly. I think that this would benefit every woman around the world, not just every person around the world, but I know women struggle so much with food and discipline, and I'm just very grateful that you're here doing this with me. So thank you for explaining that in such a perfect way.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me.
Yeah, of course. Will you take us through a little session so that our listeners, viewers, etc., have a really good idea of what this looks like, and not just the talk benefit of it?
Yeah. So this isn't going to be something anybody's going to want to necessarily like plan on sitting down and doing any like deep emotional work with. I would encourage them to move over to Instagram, send me a DM. And I actually created a tapping script recently that is a good place for people to just start and kind of get their toes wet on their own. But you're going to start tapping on the side of your hand.
Either hand?
Right here. Yep, either hand. Great question. Yep, it doesn't matter because we're really using our meridian system. It's actually very similar to an acupuncturist and what they're going to use. The cool thing is it provides the benefits of talk therapy and like deep emotional trauma work without having to talk. And it provides the benefits of things like acupuncture, realigning your body, balancing your mind and body and soul without the needles. So right here on this point, we always start here. And the reason for that is because this is connected to psychological reversal. And what psychological reversal is saying, I really want the pizza when I see it. And so when we're over here, what we're doing is we have to use really choice words with tapping. And our starter is always whatever feels dangerous, unsafe, problematic. So we're going to grab that. I feel restricted thinking about this 5-week protocol. And that's kind of the problem we're facing, whatever it is that's causing this, like, right. And we anchor into safety. And that's that part, like I said, like, I'm safe right here with this challenge. It's really safe to feel this conflict. And so we stay here and we really adjust that usually 3 times. So I'm feeling really restricted when I look at this list of food that Michele gave me. I know I asked her for this help, but I just still feel really restricted, and I'm safe right here with this restriction. And I'm feeling kind of controlled, maybe, and conflicted, but I'm still safe here, in this room that I'm in. I'm safe. I'm not running from a lion. And so then we move into this point is on the inside of either eyebrow. And so now that was kind of the anchoring work where we're shifting your subconscious from normally when I see that food, I want to reach for it. But now I'm saying I'm safe to think first. And here's another point. And we're just feeling that resistance in your body. And this is why I said this really speaks to the women who don't want to deal with the emotional stuff. Is you can still feel that resistance. Like I see the pizza and I see the vegetables and I just feel like, and so we're really just feeling that like, right there, whatever that stress is. And we come under your eye. I always say, take a nice clean breath in through your nose and blow it out. And under your nose. And this is just kind of, I mean, you even relaxed.
Oh yeah.
With your eyes dropped. Yeah. And we're kind of moving really slow right now. I was like telling you, and we're moving slow, but I'll move you quicker so you girls can get an idea. There's hundreds of ways to tap. Right here's another point. There's actually 2 spots. So I just use my whole hand. You're just like imagining that like a glass of wine or cheesy garlic bread. It's interesting because we're taught to resist the foods in a sense, whereas with tapping, we're actually leaning into it. I really want it. I really like it. It really tastes better. So tap right here. This spot's a little interesting for women who are big busted. It's easier to tap like this. And top of your head. And so just take another nice clean breath. And so that's just kind of an idea. Like we're just moving through these points and just saying the truth of what it is. But here's another way we could do it. And I'll have you repeat after me this time, just so people can get an idea of how I might work with a client who's like, especially when we're dealing with frustration or anger, we're not like calmly breathing and relaxing. We're pissed. Okay. So tap here and say, I'm so frustrated about this food plan.
Oh, I'm so frustrated about this food plan.
Yeah, and outside your eye, I hate looking at it.
I hate looking at it.
Under your eye, I feel so pushed around.
I feel so pushed around.
Yeah. This reminds me of, I don't even know what, but I don't like being told what to do.
I don't know what this reminds me of, but I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah, I really feel like Michele's telling me what to do.
I really feel like Michelle's telling me what to do.
Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing, just so people know, is we're actually saying what you're usually thinking. And that's the second thing that trips people up with tapping is, I don't know what words to use. Don't say words, just feel your feelings, right? And so here's what the feelings could be is right, this is my thoughts could be like, nothing's worked for my stomach yet, and nothing's worked, but I just don't want to be restricted, but I know that I even saw that test result and just like mold on it and parasites, and she said I could like really make big headway in 5 weeks. But then when I look at this list, it's like, my husband keeps coming with pizza, right? Like I keep seeing this pizza, man. And right. And then like repeat after me again. Like, I'm so mad at my husband for coming with pizza every night.
I'm so mad at my husband for coming home with pizza every night. My husband.
Why is he doing that to me?
Why is he doing that to me?
What is he thinking?
What is he thinking?
Doesn't he know that I'm trying to eat healthy right now?
Doesn't he know that I'm trying to eat healthy right now?
Yeah, like, does he even care?
Does he even care?
Right here. I'll never be able to do this.
I'll never be able to do this.
Yeah. Especially if he keeps bringing home ice cream.
Especially if he keeps bringing home ice cream.
Yeah. So take a nice breath. So that'll just give you girls an idea. We can move slow. We can, really like venting is so good with tapping. It's just like, because all we're doing is we're really taking all of the stress around the situation, all the stress of the 10 times a day you think about what you're going to eat instead of something else, that all those pings, I call them pings through your day. And we're really creating a space to say, I'm going to grab all the pings and I'm going to hold them here. I'm going to feel all of them. And you move, sometimes it's a real process, sometimes there is some frustration and anger. And then sometimes there's like, I really owe this to myself. And ultimately the goal is not just to tap. We can all just do something and not receive a benefit. The goal is to come to a neutral place. We go, you know what? I could go either way right now. Then to push even further is to say, this sounds really nourishing to my body. And I'm a living testament that the foods I didn't want are the foods I crave. And nobody's telling me what to eat right now. And those are the ones I'm really leaning towards. And another really, this I say, like, it's really exciting work because you're always discovering something, and your subconscious, as you tell it you're safe, is going to release information. And as we learn the reason for the reach, why am I reaching for the pizza? Why am I reaching for the warm, yummy cheese besides that it tastes good? We're discovering things and they're shifting and moving. And what happened to me when I first tapped on what my wine craving, which was, I was a bottle a night. I was a heavy wine drinker. Was I still had the habit of reaching for the wine, unscrewing the wine, grabbing the cup, pouring it. But then when I went to sip it, I was nauseous. How cool would that be? That these foods that are not supportive to our system actually feel unsupportive, and we feel it. We're like, I don't even want that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that kind of brings me back down to like, we're really doing something on a deep subconscious level, and going into, you're kind of doing a lot of emotional work, going back into your childhood without even trying to, because your subconscious knows where these things got programmed. So it's working on those behind the scenes. And that's why I said I could probably turn my 5 weeks into 3 or 4. Because now what's happening is we're actually reducing that cortisol to such a nice low that your body feels safe with these challenges and safe with those glitches. And now it's, when our cortisol's healthy low, our immune system's up.
Yes.
What if your immune system was up the whole entire time you're following this protocol? How much quicker is your body going to respond to it if nothing's fighting it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What a tool. What a tool.
It is. And I always say the only way for it to backfire on you, because it's important for people to know who have said, well, I tried it. And when you're that high, like, don't quit right then. If you quit and walk away, you're just quitting on the verge of a breakthrough. So as long as you stick to it until you're feeling that, like, how like you got rested and your breathing was really like nice and clean, like that's a sweet spot to just sit and let your body do the rest of the work. So just don't quit while you're stressed. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay curious, stay in it.
That's amazing. So
Yeah,
you do one-to-one work and you do group work?
I do. So my primary work is private one-on-one with clients. That's really because that's where my life was flipped upside down, from anxiety meds to no anxiety meds and no anxiety. In fact, a lot of healing and relationships happened for me around that. So that's where I think the sweet spot is, to really quickly go in and discover things and turn them around quickly. And it also helps girls to understand better how to tap on their own at home.
Sure.
And in emergency situations, stuff like that. I have a Crohn's client, Crohn's disease. One healed their own Crohn's, doing everything really naturally and using things like tapping. And this little guy's 19 and in a lot of pain. And so we've made him a script to tap on, to kind of just, it's easier sometimes just listen along to something or have it written down. And now he uses this script before he eats. And he's actually not getting the stomach aches that he was getting, which is beautiful.
It is.
Because he's able to eat again. And his body's starting to heal. And we hadn't even changed the foods he was eating yet to nourishing foods for his body.
Right.
I was letting him still eat whatever he's eating. So private one-on-one, I think, is the deepest, most beautiful. Sometimes people need 3 sessions and they're like floating away into their perfect life. Groups are very close to my heart because I think a lot of us women feel like we're alone in what we're dealing with. And since I sit with women all day long, I know that we aren't alone. We all deal with the same stuff. And so I appreciate putting women in a circle together and allowing them to connect. And I love teaching. So one of my groups is Wednesday mornings at 10. That's very consistent. 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard. Bad time for you Eastern Standard girls. And so depending on when this is viewable, I have a new group specifically for Eastern Standard, kind of across the board. It's just a 3-week group, specifically to answer questions about tapping, teach all my favorite tools, and really get it into girls' hands, because you don't want your girls to need you forever, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we want like no job security, like get everybody right, like fix them all and get them out there living their best life. So this is going to be a 3-week starting February 22nd in the evenings, as much Q&A as they can handle. We're all going to tap together. Very affordable. It's on a sliding scale, and it's just so that people have an investment. People show up when they paid something. That's going to be a really great place for people to get their toes wet, get to know me, ask their questions, tap a little bit.
Very cool. Can you give us your Instagram handle, please?
Tapping_unstuck.
Tapping_unstuck. I will make
Yes.
sure that is in the notes of this
Thank you.
post. Absolutely.
And I'm about as available as you are. You know, I think that the work that we do, we really like connecting with them. So nobody's in charge of my social media either. Like, you get your DMs, I get my DMs. I love when girls reach out and ask the questions and want to connect there.
Amazing, amazing. I will definitely make sure that that's on there. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I feel relaxed right now. I came onto this call not that relaxed. That was prior to us hitting record, and I feel quite relaxed right now.
Well, you only tapped for
I know, but you have a very soothing voice that is just very, like, you just kind of get into a trance with you. You are doing the work you should be doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to end the recording. There we go.